Swfa10x42ss. I think, MOA quad with MOA adjustments. I think this was the first model they came out with before even SWFA marketed these. Plenty of reviews out there on there. Hope I'll give you guys something that you haven't heard before. 10 power. What in the world would you use this for? I think if you just get straight 10 power, you're looking to save money, honestly. But I would not use this as a hunting scope. I review this as a hunter. That's my slant. I spend about 3 weeks a year at different times of the year hunting anything from big games to varmints on public lands of the West. I think that gives me a little bit different perspective than most people having access to all that public land and out in the field. 10 power, what would I use this for? I'd use this as like a spare scope, honestly. Something where I just wanted to throw something together and go out and do some shooting, mainly at the range. This scope could be used for hunting colony varmints from a fixed position, something of that nature. I don't think 10 power is a good choice as a walking stock, just general as a hunter. It's not what I would prefer. The scope does have parallax adjustment, which the 3:9 HD does not have. So you can dial that parallax out with this scope. I found that the parallax and focus did line up with the markings. Okay, there's an interrupted there. The clicks, you've got the jam nut system, which I think is kind of outdated, but this is an inexpensive scope. It's okay. These clicks are very audible. I think they're very tactile. I think they're more audible and maybe a better click than this HD, although these are a little bit more high profile, maybe a little bit more they would be more susceptible to bumping. I put this scope on the tall target tracking test, statically mounted, tape measured 100 yards with a long tape measure, the ribbon type that you roll out. So it was measured exactly, and I found this scope performed awesome. Great, not a problem. Tracking was excellent. This scope, this is the 20 power model, had some issues with this. I'm going to actually send this back. I think there's something wrong with it. I think the turrets on these may be a little different from scope to scope. This one is much more mushy, a little bit easier to turn. I think this one has a lot better. Yeah, those are way better feel. So you may have a little variance from scope to scope on what those turrets feel like. Again, I wish this was capped. I think most people do. But they're just sticking to the original formula on this. Okay. MOA. I am an MOA guy. I prefer MOA. I'm familiar with it. I like it. That doesn't mean I can't walk and chew gum at the same time and use a mill scope. I own some mill scopes. I think they're fine. It's doable. Me personally, I prefer MOA. And so that's why I wanted to try this one, because it's in a system I'm most familiar with. But I have to say, as an MOA guy, don't buy anything MOA in the Super Sniper line. Just don't do it. their best scopes are going to be the mill scopes. So just blanketly say, and just blanketly blot out anything that's MOA when it comes to these scopes. I think you're going to be best served with mill. I think their reticles are better in mill. This reticle in this one, this MOA quad, I have to be honest with you, I hate it. The center dot, I believe the specs on it show it's as 0.18 inches. Now, how many times are you shooting something that's a 10 power scope, 3 to 9, whatever? Can you see 22 caliber bullet holes all the time? I can't, not in every situation. This is actually 0.18, so it's smaller than that. That dot in the middle of this reticle is very difficult to see. It's a very fine reticle, way too fine in my mind. To me, that disqualifies the scope as the reticle in this. So don't mess with anything in the MOA stuff. Stick with mill across the board when it comes to SWFA. I've had a 3 to 15 that was, I think that may have been a second focal plane scope, but it was a MOA adjustment on that. I ended up sending that scope back. They don't even offer that scope anymore. They discontinued it. So, you know, and mill's fine. It's not a bad, just a different unit of measurement. You just got to get used to it. It's okay. But, you know, as an MOA guy, don't just forget about it. They need to just discontinue anything that's MOA there and just go mill. I think that would be better served with them. Heck, maybe they could offer some more different options, like this little compadre and a second focal plane, if they did that. Simplify their lineup, get rid of the MOA stuff, and go straight to mill. But I can't recommend this scope just because of the reticle. Form factor of it is track's fine. I can't find anything wrong with it that way. I'm not aware of anybody that's tested these scopes like I did. Fixed mounting position, and you know, you can shoot these all day long, but the accuracy of your gun will not expose, because I can tell you if this has tracking error. I can tell you what percentage of tracking error it has. I tested it through 25 minutes, and it tracks spot on. So if I'm a click off or whatever, that's a 1% tracking error at 25 minutes. No clicks off. So yeah, if you can get past the reticle, I suppose you could give this one a whirl. But yeah, other than that, I can't recommend this configuration. I'm sure that the other 10 powers, probably the mill quad would be just fine, I'm betting. And so that's the direction I would steer you in. So stay tuned for the actual results of the test on the tall target. Forgive me, the app on the phone that controls the view through the scope is a little finicky, and it may be turned a little bit, but the focus is a little tricky too, because we're managing a bunch of things. We're managing eye relief, we're managing focus here, we're moving the view out in the mirror, and we're trying to turn the view at the same time, and an app is trying to manage that. So it's not 100% all the time, but it does show the target and the reticle in the same together, and so it should allow you to see what the scopes are doing. So always interested in these. I love scopes that, oh, these are Japanese build. I think most people know that anyway. But stay tuned for that. Thanks. Okay, Swfa10x42ss fixed power. Couple things to note here is you get parallax adjustment on this, which compared to the 3x9, which you don't, and the parallax error I saw on that scope was you know, up to close to ½ inch at 100 yards. With this scope you can dial that out, which is something might be a factor for you. I don't think it's a big deal either way, but if you're trying to shoot max groups, the smallest size groups, and that's your use for a scope, maybe this fixed 10 power is a better choice. So I tested this thing through 25 minutes of angle on the tall target out there. It looks like, well, according to the video, my focus might be better than last time. So no surprises here, no reticle shift, no funkiness like I saw in my 20 power fixed, which there may be something actually wrong with that scope. I might just send it back, because that scope did have 3 clicks of tracking error and a couple of clicks of reticle shift that I saw in that scope. This one, no. However, I'm not very impressed with the reticle on this. This is the MOA reticle, MOA quad. So let me just run it through its paces here and let you see what it does here. Again, how do you know whether my mount is solid? Well, does it return to 0? Yeah, it returns to 0. So the scope is not making up for my movement or problems with that. So let's give it a rip. It should be 5 minutes. $10 minutes. $15 minutes. $20 minutes. All right, that's 25. So I even banged into my mount there with my hand, and nothing moved there. So the scope looks like it does what it says it's going to do. Let's see if we can take us back to 0. Should be 0. So if you want something that tracks like it should, maybe this is your option.